So let's get across what's moving those markets. Pete McGuire joining some XM. Pete, happy Monday to you. If you're lucky enough to have a holiday, good on you. But looks as though you're enjoying the outdoors at the moment, so half your luck. All right, so let's take a look at what we're watching at the moment. Of course, on Friday it was all about those jobs numbers with the non-farm payrolls report, which was well received.
Absolutely, Andrew. Good morning. I tell you what, a surprise to the upside. We were expecting 140,000. It came in at 254. So it was very, very strong. And you also had a revision up of August to 159,000. So that was very strong. So the overall consensus is, are we going to see a cut in rates, and how does that play into, Fed Chair Powell's decisions moving into November or October, the thoughts process and then leading into the decision? And are we going to see, 50 basis points in November? They're saying it now is a chance of around about 9% probability. So it's really, smashed it down.
So, yeah, now looking as though 25, well, in fact, I think it's some 95% chance then the market's betting it's going to be a 25 basis point cut at the next meeting, and then maybe another 25 after that.
That's exactly right, Andrew. Yeah. And Wall Street was very strong. I saw, the equity markets, they bounced very nicely. I mean, you look at the NASDAQ was up 1.2%, Dow and S&P nearly up 1% both. So it was well received. The overall, it made back a lot of those losses earlier in the week. So, yeah, a good day. And I think it'll be a very strong day across Asia today, leading into. So the market, we're not, it's 24 hours a day and it runs pretty hard. So I'd say there'd be plenty of movement, and US dollar index also had a bit of a rise. So yeah, plenty of movement there.
All right. In fact, let's go to that overall performance. What's outperforming and what's underperforming at the moment?
Yeah, well, you can't take your eye off, the energy sector, Andrew, or gold, but certainly energy has just been, screamed. We were up 5% on Thursday and it had another leg up on Friday. I think it was 8 or 9% for the week. So, and that was, a lot of that was war premium. It was certainly sold off, but the conflict in the Middle East is really raging and pushing energy prices, and Brent's now, nudging that 77.5, WTI 73. And I think that they will continue uplift. You had gold still sitting there. It's wallowing a little bit at 26.70, but it's a long way up from this time last year at 1,800. So, when the big picture is it's very, very strong, nearly up, 48% move to the upside. So it's, the market's very dynamic and across that. And then the US dollar, where that's all trading. Keep an eye on it for trading.
Well, indeed, just in terms of the US dollar, Pete, so it has strengthened and can keep strengthening. In fact, perhaps defying expectations there. But of course, that's underlying what we're seeing in the US economy at the moment, which proves to be very resilient.
It is resilient, Andrew. You can't take your eye off it, from those job hires. And of course, the other side, of course, they're worrying about the inflation numbers, and they're probably, that'll be released this week, and the S&P global PMIs. So all of that, the preliminary numbers. I'm saying that, when we look across it and from our team of analysts, 102.50 really surprised us, because it was really being pushed down to the US dollar index I'm referring to, 100.4, 100.6, and now it's at 102.5. So it's had a very, very strong push. And that was probably, as you mentioned earlier, as far as the expectation of a rate cut. Well, it's been pushed down to, about a 95% probability of 25 basis points. So you're not going to see that 50, and in turn, you won't see a softer US dollar.
Now, Pete, let's take a look elsewhere in terms of central bank movement. Look, the RBNZ in focus this week. Wednesday, we do get the decision. 50 basis point cut expected.
Absolutely, Andrew. Yeah, that's pretty much baked in, I'd say. And then you're also looking at another 50 basis points in November. So there's a very big chance of, wiping 100 out by end of year. So that's, as the chart says there. So I think that'll be interesting where that Kiwi trades. The overall picture is, the economy's doing it relatively tough, and now's the time to cut. So yeah, it's not unexpected, and we've just got to see how that rolls into naturally the first quarter of next year.
Elsewhere, what are you seeing in the UK just in terms of how its economy is travelling at the moment?
Well, you got Governor Bailey. He said he's a bit more of an activist. That was his words with The Guardian. He had an interview, and he's saying it's probably a 25 basis point cut in November. You got a 65% probability of another 25 basis point cut in December, Andrew. And that's where his mind is, interest rate cuts. data continues to suggest that, we're going to move in that direction. And again, how does that play into the first quarter? So they're really starting to, ramp those cuts through, and it'll be interesting to see whether it has any wash off to the good old Australian market.
Now, Pete, elsewhere, taking a look at crypto at the moment, given what we saw last week, it was sort of risk off. No surprise then that crypto was hit over the weekend. Yep. Bitcoin did manage to regain some of its recent losses. Elsewhere, though, what are you seeing, particularly with Ethereum?
Well, Ethereum, Andrew, I think Big Brother is just on that one. Bitcoin's at 62.5, but Ethereum, it's been sold off. And as the chart says there, it's showing some very interesting signs as far as, your moving averages and from a short-term trading perspective. So I feel as though it probably will hit that resistance, and I wouldn't be surprised to, take another leg up. So it's choppy, and there's plenty of opportunity in it. It just depends on where you are in the cycle. And, as everyone knows from a trading perspective, you make just as much on a falling market as a rising market, due to just the mechanics of it. But it seems to be that, when the markets tail off, they tail off very quickly. And it's been a great market to be short over the last, say, week and a half.